Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the program. Now, Barb, many people thinking of downsizing or moving to a home with less stairs must think carefully about how to approach a very large project. What are you seeing as the common downsizing mistakes, and how can your listeners avoid them?
Well, I've got some good tips today, Richard, on some things that can really help people thinking of downsizing. Yeah, it's a pretty big project, and I've had some experiences helping folks in the past that it didn't really go as well, or in this case, they waited too long to make the move. Like they've really had to move because of medical reasons. So I helped this lovely couple a few years back where he was facing a really major surgery, one of which he didn't think he was going to survive. And they had to downsize. They were going to move to another state. And the wife at the same time was suffering with some kind of memory issue problem. You couldn't tell from talking to her. She was very nice and very friendly. But he took me aside and said, "Hey, guess what? Next time you show up, she won't know who you are again." And I'm like, okay, and she would do things like just walk out of the house and get lost. And then when we were trying to stage the home to get it ready for photo day, she put everything back like it was. So we came up with a plan where we're like, okay, take her to lunch for a couple of hours and we're going to stage and take the photos at the same time, then we're good. And that's how it had to work out. But unfortunately, he went into surgery. We started showing the house, and there were some issues showing. She had these two little old scraggly poodles. One was black and one was white, and she named them Thing One and Thing Two. And they had a lot of accidents on the carpet, so the house didn't smell very good. So fortunately, he brought his sister in from out of state to help him while he was having surgery. And we were able to get everything done and get it sold and pull it together. But it was 10 times harder if you wait too long. So I don't recommend that you do that. Try to get ahead of it as best you can. But at the end of the day, it's moving is never fun. I don't care how often you do it or when you do it. But why do people downsize? Generally, they want to be in a home that's less large and a little bit easier to take care of. Maybe they're moving because of cost. Maybe they're moving because they're not using all of the property that they have, or they don't like stairs. They don't like dealing with snow. All these different reasons would cause people to move. Also, wanting to be closer to family. I will say that's probably the biggest draw for many people downsizing or moving is going towards family, especially to see those adorable grandchildren. And it's interesting that, that's kind of the tipping point for a lot of people in my generation is wanting to see grandchildren and move closer to family so they can be a part of their lives on a regular basis. So, couple of things that you can do that you should be aware of that are actually downsizing mistakes. One of them is that a lot of people kind of overestimate what their home is worth based on what they want to get out of it. And in a perfect world, that would be great. In fact, this morning I was talking to a seller and I said, what, he just bought it recently for about 6. And I said, okay, what do you think it's worth? And he goes, well, 1.5 million. Well, we both started laughing. I'm like, no, really, what do you think? He goes, well, that's what you're for. So some people will defer to me to help them decide on pricing. But a lot of people are kind of optimistic about it. Like, if I can't get this much, maybe I won't move. But at the end of the day, most people are not going to move unless they have their destination lined up or an area where they know that they're going to go. And don't worry about timing the market. I talk to too many people that are like, oh, I missed the peak or whatever. Just forget about that. This is still a pretty strong market. Make it work for you when you are ready. Don't be rushed into it because that's the time when you can make mistakes. The market's doing great. A couple of things that you should know about is don't underestimate the cost of selling. You've got to pay commission, taxes, title. Some repairs are going to have to get done in most cases for most homes. And sometimes the buyers will ask you to pay their loan closing costs. So all these things could come into play, and we'll sit down and talk about that when it's time. Try not to rely on the Zillow's estimates. Those are total fake news. They are solely based on the homes that are active for sale that have not sold. We care more about what is getting contracts and what have sold and your current competition than we do about what happened in the past. What happened in the past is good for appraisal purposes, but the ones that are sitting on the market not selling, you can't really price your home based on that. Another big ticket item that you have to worry about is moving and the cost of moving. So be careful on this. I see a lot of people that might choose to use some of the pod programs, which that means you're doing it yourself, which is a lot of work, or they kind of cheap out and get the cheapest mover. And it's not always the best idea. I actually had somebody that worked for me move across the country, and their moving van got into an accident and crashed. So make sure you have furniture insured, first of all, before you do the move, because once you're in transit, your homeowner's insurance may not cover your goods. So that's very important to think about. But there's also some scammers out there. I had one client a few years back that went online and was searching for movers, and this moving company somehow found him and called him and came out and gave a bid that looked reasonable based on seeing his home, his household, and the amount of furniture he had. They said, okay, this is how much you'll give us for a down payment. Then on moving day, we'll come and pick it up. On moving day, when they came to pick it up, they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's going to cost $5,000 more to do this. And he kicked him out. He said, get out of here. I'm going to find somebody else. So you got to be really careful about these companies. We can definitely recommend some movers that we trust in the local area. So be careful about that and just kind of plan on these things in advance. Take some time to think about it. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about the top downsizing mistakes. And when we come back, we're going to cover the rest of those mistakes and how you can declutter and how you can avoid those mistakes. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And we'd love to help you when the time is right. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can always reach her at 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about the top downsizing mistakes and how the listeners can avoid them. What are some other mistakes, Barb? And how do our listeners plan to downsize with ease?
Well, Richard, also underestimating how much stuff there is to go through. That all by itself can be very overwhelming. I remember one of my sellers calling me one day, and she was not in a big property. She was in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhome. It wasn't huge, but just in the throes of the whole moving process, she thought she's about done. She called me. She goes, I opened this closet door and it's like stuff through, and she was crying, and it's overwhelming. So you want to try to get ahead of it even before you plan to move. People typically only use about 20% of the stuff that they own. So it should be an ongoing thing. Don't let it accumulate. And it's also an emotional journey. You'll go through stuff that will remind you, like my son built things when he was in elementary school, and he's 30 now, right? But if I got rid of it, I'd feel guilty about it. So plus, it gives me some fond memories. So those memories are great, and they're important to keep, but you don't have to keep all the stuff. You know, my family was one of the unfortunate ones that lost a house in the Waldo Canyon fire. My parents had passed away for health issues about 5 months before that happened. And so the house had been cleaned out, pretty much empty with the exception of a few pieces of furniture and the appliances, But when that house burnt down, it was kind of surprising to me how emotional that was to have that loss, because it brought back all the memories that you have in the home. So give yourself some credit for loving on the space that you have. I heard one suggestion from an agent in another market that said, write your house a letter and thank it for all the wonderful memories. So I thought was really cute. Or, take a picture of stuff that you probably don't want to keep, but you want to keep the memory. That would be a good idea. Another thing to do is when you are decluttering, take it one room at a time, or you will get overwhelmed very, very easily. Key areas that you have to worry about are the same key areas that you focus on when you sell a home: curb appeal, front yard, backyard, the living room, the kitchen, the master bathroom, and the master bedroom. Start with those 5, get those done, and then you can start dealing with the other area, maybe the storage areas in your house, maybe the kids' bedroom that has a desk that you don't need, all these kind of things. Master closet is also important too, because the buyers are looking at the size of that closet. So the best presentation of one of those closets is something that looks very neat and tidy, organized, spacious, airy, all the stuff off the floor. And I learned this 90-day rule to repurpose stuff. So if you have stuff for 90 days that you haven't touched, and you don't think you're going to touch it for another 90 days, maybe it's the time to repurpose, get rid of it, sell it, whatever. So the best sorting method that I found for downsizing is to just put them in 4 categories: keep, donate, trash it, or sell it. Now, the selling thing is, I've talked to clients that have done this. They'll use like Facebook Marketplace. And I found that the people that want stuff, that come and pick up stuff, sometimes are pretty flaky. They'll say, oh yeah, I'm going to be there, and then they forget, or somebody else gets it and then they're mad. So you may or may not want that kind of interaction with random buyers on Facebook Marketplace. So another option might be to use a secondhand furniture store if you really think it has value that somebody else might appreciate it, or donate it to a charity that you trust. And just address some of the dreaded areas like the junk drawer. Make sure that any shoes that you're not wearing, that you want to go ahead and get rid of them. Dresser drawers are some of the things, clothing are some of the things that you could do on a regular basis before you plan to move, just to get it done. And kitchen items. So what my husband did to me is he got tired of looking at it. So he emptied out half of my kitchen drawer, took it downstairs somewhere where I can't see it anymore. I've never seen those things again. So I get frustrated if I turn around and look for something on the few times that I am cooking and can't find it. But I think I just bought new ones is what I ended up doing. So, keep the stuff that you really use and get rid of the stuff that you don't. Things like an apple peeler. I bought one of these that clenches to the cabinet. Have you ever used one of those, Richard?
I have not, but they look kind of interesting.
It's ridiculous. It's got a prong that you put the apple on, and then you wind it to get the peel off. It is the messiest, clunkiest thing. It's huge. I don't even know why I had one, because I didn't like it. But anyway, also think about the space that you're moving into when you do move. Maybe even measure your furniture and then look at the room measurements of where you are going to go, just to make sure that you're not dragging all that stuff across the country that you may just get rid of when you get there. And make sure the sentimental items, of course, are well protected and preserved. And of course, you could donate furniture. A lot of these charities will actually come and pick up furniture that you may want to repurpose. Or if they won't, we let our clients use our moving van for free. For me, it's a giant billboard, so I'm always happy it's driving around. But you're welcome to use it if just give us a call. And a couple of packing tips, and this will apply for showings too. Things like jewelry, make sure you put them in a safe place. Things like important paperwork, your iPad, have a first day box, for your move. That would include coffee, toiletry supplies, phone chargers, bedding, iPads, passwords, things that you're going to touch almost on a regular basis. Very, very important. so that you can make it more smooth. And I'm just in the process right now of building this cute little booklet I'm calling the Declutter and Downsize Planner. So if you'd like to get a copy of that gives you detail like this, call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, you and your team are the only company I'd recommend to people out there who are thinking of selling their homes and downsizing to a smaller home. How can they get more information? Well, they just call 719-301-3900 or go ahead and visit Barb Has the Buyers. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top 27 things to do before you show your home. We'll talk with Barb about that.